Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cinematic Schematic, the official podcast of the Cinematropolis.com, your home to thoughtful conversations on film. I'm your host, Caleb Masters, and today, it is that time of year again. We have made it to June, which, of course, if you live in Oklahoma City or the Southwest, or frankly, anywhere in the United States of America, that is a very important time frame. It is deadCenter Film Festival Week right around the corner. Today, we're going to be doing our bonus preview episode, giving listeners and viewers a little sneak peek at what all they can expect from this year's film festival. Oklahoma's Oscar qualifying film festival, the biggest, in fact, will be running from Wednesday, June 10th to Sunday, June 14th, and passes are available today over at deadcenterfilm.org. This is an age-old tradition at the Cinematropolis. I've been covering the festival for this is my 11th year, and then this would have been the 9th year covering it on behalf of the Cinematropolis. We're really excited to just engage in a part of the film festival. It's dedicated to inspiring, promoting, and celebrating the creativity and community through film, and that is largely Oklahoma community, Southwest. But as film watchers, we are all part of a film-loving community. So if you head to the cinematropolis.com throughout the film festival, you're going to see written essays from our writer, Daniel Bokemper, who will be covering the festival on the ground. And I'll also be virtually watching from afar with some interviews here and there. Before we go any further, though, let's welcome today's very special guest. I am very excited to be joined by several members of the deadCenter programming team. First and foremost, though, I have to introduce him first because he has to bear with me every single episode of the show on the regular. He is the head of Pride Programming, my co-host, and also an award-winning Oklahoma filmmaker, Laron Chapman. Laron, welcome back.
Great to be here. It feels weird that it's here. The deadCenter is imminent. It's within reach. So, which brings about a little bit of anxiety, but also a little excitement. So. This is an exciting time of the year. I feel like we talk about it ad nauseum all year, and then now we get to just kind of celebrate the fruit of the labor here. So very excited to talk about what we got in store for people and hope people come out and enjoy the festival.
Yeah, very eager to check it out. Listeners, viewers, you might not know, Laron and this team here are working year-round trying to prep this festival so that you have a whole assortment of amazing films to watch. So Laron's downplaying it. So much work behind the scenes that we're not talking about on the show. Also very excited to be rejoined by, she's a shorts programmer over at deadCenter, recurring guest host on this program, Paris Burris. Paris, welcome back.
Hi, I'm so excited to be back on the pod talking about deadCenter. It's something I also agree with Laron said. You work so hard all year round, and now we finally just get to celebrate and have fun and enjoy what we've been working towards. So really exciting.
Maybe I should ask this question. Paris, what's your go-to drink during the festival? It doesn't have to be alcohol. I didn't say alcoholic. It could be non-alcoholic. You know, just throw it in there. You know.
No,
the new tradition.
Malort, though that does have a fondness amongst the deadCenter programmers. Water. I'm gonna have to be real boring and say water because it's in the deadCenter of June in Oklahoma, and it's usually 100 degrees, and I am so hot, and so I'm just always trying to stay hydrated.
That is the correct answer. Paris, always great to have you on the show. And hey, we have a new face on the program for this year's preview episode. She's another one of the shorts programmers, though she's been a part of the deadCenter team for quite a while, doing a lot of things behind the scenes. Julia Witcher. Julia, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's good to make my debut. This is technically my third year programming with deadCenter. Second as a full-fledged, fully out of the womb programmer. They kind of started me with baby wings first. And so it's good to be here. And I will be drinking Malort the entire time.
Yeah.
She's just pretend it's water.
Caleb. Yes, Julia introduced the programming team to Malort. We had I don't think most of us knew even what it was. There's a nice spot downtown, R&J's, and she basically had everyone, imbibe and we took it, and we couldn't for the life of us understand why anyone would drink this. But now it's a tradition for us to do it. Whenever we're there together as a team, we'll probably do that in tradition this year, right after deadCenter,
Post
once everything's
festival.
over. Post festival, yes, not during.
Save the special moments for the post festival. I don't actually know what that drink is either, so it's okay. Don't feel out of the
Save
club.
yourself.
Yeah, you don't need to.
Save yourself.
That's okay. Well, mystery drink. It shall remain a question. Last, certainly not least, really excited to be rejoined by senior features programmer Kevin Ely. Kevin, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Good. It's been a bit.
It's been too long. Yeah. I think I caught you at a separate con like a week before we started telling people we were
That's
moving.
right.
And I was like, oh, I really want to tell Kevin because I'm not sure when I'm going to see him before I move. But I also was like sworn in blood oath to with my wife to not tell 99% of humans. So
that's right.
I
I
felt
found
bad.
out right after, and I was like, "Guy, you didn't tell. You didn't mention it."
What a jerk. Yeah. Oh, man.
Irish goodbye.
Well, not Irish goodbye. Irish hello. We're here on the podcast. Always a pleasure to see you. And I know you are hard at work on the very exciting bumper that'll play in front of all the films of the festival. So eager to see how that turns out. Thanks for going up for air for a podcast.
Yeah. It's a welcome break.
Well, guys, deadCenter's right around the corner. Laron, I'm going to throw it to you first. Just ask the big question. Where is deadCenter going to be located? Folks who aren't familiar with deadCenter, maybe they're like, it's in Oklahoma City. Where in Oklahoma City? It's pretty big. Slow down here.
I would say it's in the Oklahoma City metro, in and around downtown Oklahoma City, Bricktown. This is including the Oklahoma Contemporary, which will be our main hub where people can get their passes and merch, and that's where some of the panels and the awards ceremony is going to be taking place, as well as some screenings. Also, the Harkins Theater, which will be screening most of the films that we have throughout the festival. And then we have some neighboring venues like the First American Museum, the Oklahoma Film Exchange, and Rodeo Cinema, as well as some venues that will be playing the program that we have. I think we have just about 200 films, collectively between shorts and features. So they'll be in and around and dispersed among those different places. And of course, we'll have parties and different things in neighboring bars and hubs and pubs like that around the area as well.
I think it's really cool. One thing I love that you guys do, it's in and around downtown. There's a really vast array of theater types, right? Maybe give it like the Harkins Theater downtown. That was like sort of the hub, but you also have the Oklahoma Museum of Art, which is sort of like the kind of more classy, high-end theater, and then Rodeo Cinema. Is OFX on the roster this year? Is that OFX? Is a Film Exchange? Yeah, I mean, so you've got micro cinemas, you've got the kind of local indie cinema. Yeah, you guys do an amazing job at just incorporating the number of venues that have in the city. So if you want a little sampling of what it's like to watch a film in Oklahoma, deadCenter is a great place to check it out. So another interesting thing I noticed this year is there's a red carpet that's going to kick off opening night. This is new, or at least new in my tenure going to the festival. So Julia, I'll throw it to you first here. I mean, what are some of the opening night festivities badge holders or ticket holders can look forward to?
Yeah, I think it's worth pointing out that this is our second year beginning on a Wednesday night. And so 5-day festival rather than the 4-day festival that it was for a long time. So that'll be June 10th is our opening night. And once again, this year focusing on the Oklahoma film industry, Oklahoma films and filmmakers. So in addition to the red carpet, which is new for us, red carpet will be in front of Harkins Theater from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. on that Wednesday. Within that time span, you can also hit our Okie shorts, which starts at 5:30 on Wednesday night. And then you can pop on over to Sailor in the Dock, just down on Film Row. That Sailor in the Dock party is 7 to 9. And then after that, you've got the Okie feature, Keep Quiet, that starts at 9 back at Harkins.
Oh, okay. Keep Quiet. That's a big narrative feature. Paris, anything you want to add about opening night? I know of Okie Shorts, Keep Quiet. Those are two pretty big hitters.
Yeah. as Julia said, it's our first time doing the red carpet, which will be fun. It's going to be a really great photo opportunity. There might be some celebrities there, so you might get some opportunity to meet some big names. And so my note on that would be, because we have people who've been coming to deadCenter and have been before and kind of know how it works, we might have some newcomers coming this year who have never been before. I will just say that Okie Shorts is always sold out. It is always one of our most popular screenings. And so when you hear that it starts at 5:30, that does not mean get there at 5:30. I would recommend getting there early, because especially with the parking situation, yes, it's a Wednesday night. But it's going to be very busy. There's going to be a lot of traffic. So I just always like to advise people who maybe don't have experience with coming to deadCenter before for that opening night. That's going to be a very popular screening. So try to get there in plenty of time.
It's also the only 2 screenings that night, the Okie Shorts and that film. So it's the only film that'll be happening. But the cool thing is we're in the largest theater at the Harkins. I think it's the first time we've been in the Cine XL. So if you want to like get the biggest, brightest, flashiest screening that deadCenter has to offer, that's the night to check it out.
Yeah,
and that 400 seats or so much, somewhere there around
500. It seats 591 seats, and it is Dolby Atmos. So it's pretty exciting. We tried and almost got that auditorium last year, but we got beat out by a certain animated release that happened at the same time. So it's double exciting, and it's particularly exciting to have our Okie films there too, because they get a huge auditorium that's going to be sold out. They get a great Dolby surround sound system, and it's just a nice cherry on top.
The premium experience, and that's for both films. So both films are going to be in the large, extra large. Oh man, listeners, that's a treat. Get there early. The Okie Shorts in particular, my experience is always basically impossible to get into if you don't get there at least 30 minutes early. Knowing you've got the extra space is going to come in handy, but I can only imagine for both of those blocks of programming, whether the feature film or the shorts film, but the Okie Shorts in particular, with that many people in the auditorium, that is going to be a great time, I have to say.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of movies, those are 2 on opening night. There's so many more to watch, though. And Kevin, I'll actually throw it to you first as the features programmer here. I mean, there are a lot to choose from. Let's start with the Oklahoma features. What are a few of the notable Oklahoma-based features folks can look forward to?
There's a few. There's quite a little variety. One is, let's see. Well, one thing is we have a new Mickey Reese movie, who's probably longtime listeners of your podcast are probably familiar with his work. One of Oklahoma's most interesting filmmakers. He never quite makes the same movie twice. It's called Every Heavy Thing. And it is probably, I'm going to say probably his most visually interesting movie that I've seen of his. It's really plays a lot with color and just graphics, and it's pretty out there. So I think anyone who's interested in that kind of work should check that out. We have a documentary called Fighting More with Fire that's got some really cool Tulsa ties. We got some more interesting Tulsa ties we can get into later, but it's a local guy who has a story of basically his life being saved by some firefighters in Tulsa. And so he just always had an affinity toward them. And so he decided to kind of tell the stories of these notable black firefighters in Tulsa, which kind of ties into the fraught history of Tulsa, of just different black-white relations, and just the struggles that someone trying to help a lot of people might not expect to face in Tulsa. So it's a really interesting local story. And then Keep Quiet is in our Oklahoma category. It has really strong Oklahoma ties, but it stars Lou Diamond Phillips, so it's probably the biggest movie in our Oklahoma category. That's that. And if you want to see that, it's going to be on Wednesday night, and then there may be another screening later, but that's the only one on schedule right now. Those are the big ones. There's also a film called Post Democracy Days that is really interesting, made by an Oklahoma filmmaker, and the lead character is an Oklahoma former OU student who's a journalist working in New York, who was covering one of Donald Trump's many trials a few years back. And it's the story of him sort of covering not the trial itself, but like the hubbub around the trial. So it's really more interested in like the anthropology of the people who are obsessed with this kind of event. It's really interesting. It's not what you expect from an Oklahoma film, but it's definitely worth checking out.
Man, I got to say I'm pretty intrigued by all of those. The Mickey Reese film, you said most colorful, which is quite a statement for him because he's done a lot of visually striking things in the past. So I'm really eager. Laron knows I'm very eager to see that one. But also the last film is really sounds timely, interesting, very exciting stuff. Of course, there are several non-Oklahoma features. Any you want to give a shout out to?
There's a big variety this year. There's a film in our indigenous category, and I'm going to try to say it correctly. I've been practicing, but it's Anakubi Jigan, which means ancestor or great grandfather, and it is a borderline experimental. We have a sort of unofficial category this year we're calling Visions, which is just a few films that really have a unique approach to how they're telling their stories. And it's a really experimental documentary just about the legacy of your ancestry and how it's present with you. And it really gets into like the nature of time and space. And I can't really even do it justice, but you think documentary, but it's very visual. It like really takes you on a ride, visually and auditory. So I'd recommend that. There's a really great Greek film we have called Patty is Such a Girly Name. It's a judo coming of age movie about a young girl who gets recruited to compete in like a championship judo event for like a high level coach who's got a little bit of a sordid past. And it's really just her coming of age as an athlete, as a woman with her sexuality and her athleticism and her identity and self-confidence. And it's just really great. It's a real crowd pleaser. It's real accessible. If anyone has any hesitancy to go see a Greek film and subtitles, I would definitely recommend to get over that and go see it.
I mean, how many, you said, I like how you put, I just casual, like it's a judo coming of age movie because those are a dime a dozen. We have so many movies of coming of age movies with judo.
Yeah, it's like random genre generator brought it up. But it's really great. It's really well shot. The judo scenes are really good. And then there's
I did have a sneak peek at this one. It's very, very good. Highly recommend for folks who are willing to kind of get outside the box if they're looking for another narrative feature that's not in English. But it'd be a good one to bring a guest too. Like if you have someone who's like, I don't know about an indie film festival, like it's a good bridge into international films. And then we have a film that Laron might want to add to talking about. It's a documentary we have called What Will I Become? That is just a beautiful documentary about the struggles that especially the focus is on young trans men and the high rate of suicides that they have and what leads to those. And they focus on some particular stories that have uses a lot of like social media, like people who've been capturing their own lives during that. And it's just treated so well. And the directors are there. One of the directors, Lexi Bean, will be here with the film, and we're working with some local organizations to have some conversations around the film. So I think this can be a really meaningful, like incredible screening.
It's a very moving one for sure. And it's kind of following two people who have kind of dealt with similar suicide ideology, and it's very moving to kind of look at just the cerebral experience that people have that are in that having that kind of experience in a way that I don't think a lot of films really have, in that way, especially not in a documentary, format, so this was, I found it very, very, very moving and insightful. So
yeah, and it's told in a very poetic way, so it's not anyone who's worried about like, obviously it's heavy subject matter, but I wouldn't, it judge for yourself if it's going to be triggering to anybody. But the way they handle it is not something I think people will come out feeling uplifted and inspired more than, man, that was really
very
hard.
hopeful. Yeah.
And then a really special one we have, it's out of competition, but really lucky to have it. It's a film that we saw at Sundance called Take Me Home by the director Liz Sargent. And it's the feature version of a short that we had in, I think, either 22 or 23. And I believe it won an award, didn't it?
It won
It was our special jury short. And so it's really, anytime we have a short, I kind of joke that we're a shorts festival that shows features too. And so it's really cool to have a short that does really well, and then we're able to bring the feature version back and see it like in its full flowering. And it's a really incredible personal film. The director cast her sister in the film, and it really centers on her as a character and a performer. And it's about her growing up with special needs and kind of coming of age as a young adult, as the parents who adopted her are no longer really able to take care of her, and sort of focusing on this thing of like when kids have special needs and they're growing up and then they sort of fall out of the system, what happens to them. But the story is so funny. They're told so well. And the performance is incredible. If you're interested in a film about directing, I don't want to say non-actors, but like maybe non-professional actors, it's just incredible and just lovely.
I did want to throw one to Paris, though. I know that there's another feature film that is going to be making an appearance there. Paris, any other feature films you'd like to talk about?
Sure. Yeah. I've said this on this podcast. I've said it on other podcasts. Everybody I've ever talked to about movies knows that my favorite director in the whole wide world is Greg Araki, and I am so thrilled that we will finally have a Greg Araki film at deadCenter this year. It is his newest feature film called I Want Your Sex, and it played at Sundance and will be distributed theatrically later in the year. So you will get to catch it early at deadCenter before it releases to theaters. It's a wonderful film. I had the privilege of watching the screener, and I'm just so excited. It's, in a nutshell, Greg Araki's movie about Gen Z and the puritanical culture that we tend to find ourselves in these days. And it is an exploration of sex and desire and power, but wrapped up in a very funny, like very, very entertaining, fast moving, hilarious, but also empathetic. It doesn't point the finger at anybody or tell them they're wrong or that there's one way to be, that there's many ways to be, and it's very human to explore sexuality and who you are and what that means. And so if you're looking for something that's just going to be a wild ride, I definitely recommend I Want Your Sex.
Check
and
it
hats
out.
off to Paris, because we got this movie pretty much by sheer force of will of her. Just refusing to not have this movie for like years since pretty much we heard it was happening.
Yeah.
Great job, Paris. You did it. You caught the white whale. And viewers, listeners, you should reap the benefits of her catching the white whale by going and seeing the movie. And it's only playing, is it a one-time screener, right?
One
Yes,
time.
it
And I
plays
believe it's
once.
Saturday night?
Saturday at 9:00 at Harkins.
Yep. That's correct.
Yeah, Saturday, 9:00, Harkins Theater.
Oh, good stuff. Really, really hate that I'm missing being there for that one. I'm sure that'll be quite a crowd to watch the film with as well. On the note of that film only playing one time, though, I know there's probably a handful of other sort of special screenings.
Yeah, there's two notable ones I want to make sure people miss besides that. Number one, Keep Quiet is mainly planned to be that one screening on Wednesday night, and then I Want Your Sex. Also, we have if you're, again, in our little visions category, if you're into expanding your consciousness and open to what movies are, we have a film called We Put the World to Sleep. That is pretty wild, but also really small. And it's really an interesting film it's really just about ideas. It's not, the way that it's told is it takes on like a mental journey as much as like a cinematic one. And then something that's like total opposite end of the spectrum is on, I didn't write down the times. I'll have to double check it. I believe it's Sunday. we are having the 100th anniversary screening of The General by Buster Keaton. So it's a new restoration of it. Our director of programming, Sunrise, claimed that one, marked it down. So it's really cool to have something on one end, we have the cutting edge ideas on what cinema can be. And then, 100 years ago, what was the cutting edge of what cinema can be? And so it's really cool to have that range.
I love some Buster Keaton. 100 years, though. I mean, wow. That's going to be a super exciting film, just kind of having the festival to kind of compare up against, how far all the technology's come so far. Shorts. Kevin, as you joked a moment ago, deadCenter is a shorts festival that plays features. There are a number of amazing features. However, the shorts blocks are
just
pretty hard to top.
Qualifying.
Yeah, they're not. Well, they're not. Yeah, the features are not Oscar qualifying. That's true. They're fair enough. Yeah, but you have an Oscar qualifying film festival for short films that is put on by three of the folks here on the podcast with us. So, Julia, I'll throw it to you first. Tell us a little bit more about some of the shorts blocks that you worked on.
Yeah, you bet. I'm glad that I get to go right after Kevin, because the mini theme that they have in features of visions, sort of by accident, we put into animated shorts. So we have a handful of shorts blocks that are really more focused on form, maybe less thematic specifically. And so animated shorts is one of those perennial blocks that we put together for the form, but we always have a theme, and we kind of pointed a little more directly at it this year. And so in the subtitle of animated shorts, we've got Mind's Eye, and the kind of theme across these is memories, visions, some hallucinations, dreams. And so that's one theme that I would say we've kind of carried over between shorts and features. Another good example of that, as we have our documentary shorts block that is tied together. We've titled it Forward and Back, and all the selections in that block have a thread of simultaneously reflecting on the past and imagining the future within each film. So those are two themes I would kind of point to. As far as just my blocks that I'm excited about, I feel like my darling this year is the experimental shorts. I got to program that last year, and it was really good. I was happy with it, but the way that the films have come together in experimental shorts this year, I feel like is particularly good. I don't feel that there's much that, there's a lot of humor, there's a lot of irreverence, but there's a lot of beauty in it at the same time. And that beauty, I feel like, is kind of bookended by these sort of zanier experimental shorts. Anyway, and then Portal Shorts is back, and that's another one I'm excited about. That we had an incredible showing of science fiction submissions this year. We had a lot of good fantasy as well, and so kind of interspersed with those really robust selections, we also included some genre bending shorts that tie very closely to the Portals theme. And so I'm excited for people to catch that one as well.
Man, a lot of stuff I'm really into. Love sci-fi. So you got Portal shorts, experimental shorts, all good stuff. And again, for listeners and viewers who haven't been to the festival before, or if you've been and you haven't checked out the shorts blocks, you're really missing out, because these are blocks that are tailored around that specific theme that Julia was just talking about. And when I say it's like banger after banger, I mean, they all take you on a ride that's so unique and just incredibly well curated by this group here. Paris, what are some of the shorts blocks that you'd like to talk about today?
Yeah, so I am a big fan of every single block we have in the program this year. I'll give you some highlights. As Julia mentioned, we do have themes, and I always, like to tell people that the themes are not something that we predetermine when we go into programming for the festival. It's very much so we let the films speak to us and see what themes naturally emerge, and then create blocks that speak to those themes. And so the one thing I'll also say is last year what we started doing is we started dispersing the Okie shorts throughout other blocks, and we're doing that again this year. So a good number of our blocks this year have Oklahoma films and filmmakers represented throughout. And so pretty much any block you go to, you're bound to see some sort of Oklahoma tie there, which is really exciting. But I'm always excited for the blocks that we do pretty much every year, which is Love, Sex, and Death, comedy. But we also have some new ones that we always like to throw in the mix when we see new themes coming together. And so we have our block that is called All Dogs Go to deadCenter, which is really funny because if you ask most programmers or filmmakers, there's a big tradition of people saying how much they don't vibe with movies about dogs. And it's so funny because I think a lot of people enjoy movies about dogs. But the fun thing about this, we've never, at least since I've been at deadCenter for the past 5 years, we've never done a dog themed short film block. And it's not just because they're dogs. There are actually other threads throughout the films that tie them together outside of it just being about dogs. And so that's something that when you watch the block, you'll see those threads and you'll be like, oh, wow, that's interesting. It's not just tied together by dogs, but it's tied together by other things. And I don't want to give it away too much, but I think that's what is particularly fun about that block. I'm always struck by the theme that I saw in a lot of the shorts, which is exploring identity and environments and culture and communities, and just how those affect the characters' lives, whether that be fiction or nonfiction, animated, live action. And so we have a Life Interrupted block, which is kind of playing into the title of Girl Interrupted because it's fun. But also, we're seeing a lot of how not only are these character focused blocks, but they really tie in the worlds around them and make the environments characters in the story. And I'm always really intrigued by films that use the world as character. And then we also have our challengers short block, which is really fun because we
is it
almost
like that. Is it that challenge? Is
Yeah,
it like that
again,
challengers?
yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell we really love when we can put a little movie reference in there. We love to do that, but it also just felt really fitting. And it's about people challenging systems. Maybe they're underdogs who are overcoming obstacles and challenges in all sorts of ways. And then I also do have to shout out one more here, which is the Rebels with a Cause block. That block is going to be part of our Tulsa segment of the festival, and that one's a lot of really amazing stories and characters and communities and storylines. And we love a rebellious film, so.
Oh, I mean, of course, Rebel Alliance and Star Wars is a classic. I mean, just watched Boots Riley's film, new film. I Love Boosters. Yeah, Rebels. Come on, who doesn't love them? Gotta love it. Check it out. Great run. I just have to say, as a dog father of 3, and my wife would super sign up for the All Dogs Go to deadCenter block. So people who say they don't like movies about dogs, they're just lying to themselves. Really, I have to say,
They just don't know yet.
I agree.
Exactly. Yeah. Laron Chapman. Any other blocks you want to call out for us?
Yes, but I will say also to add on to All Dogs Go to deadCenter that if you're thinking that this is like Homeward Bound, that's not the vibe. I'm just going to say that it's much heavier themes than that, So without giving anything away, because we do think it would spoil the surprise or the experience of it, I should say. It's definitely a good mix of light and dark and a lot of interesting social issues that are being brought up intermixed in between that. So yes, dogs are there as a thread, but the storylines are vast, within them. So, but But yes, in terms of the blocks that I kind of personally curated, I am a horror movie hound. So the horror block I think is very strong this year. I think the midnight block is even stronger this year. There's so many of our favorites in that particular block. And I just think that, man, it just makes me so happy when that comes together finally, because I start kind of like preemptively finding all of the craziest, weirdest things. And then I'm like, no, how does this fit? And then when I do that, it's always exciting to see how they all click. Eventually, there's the thread that it does emerge. So those two obviously are my two faves every year. But two that I'm actually excited about that are relatively new this year is one of them kind of came together organically as we kind of mentioned as some of these themes kind of just come to us. Dealing with kind of a social existential problem, but specifically the American prison system here in the U.S. and how it affects not only the inmates, but how it affects the families that are associated with those inmates. Kind of the way that these systems are broken and have been for a very long time, and disproportionately affect some groups versus others, but also more than anything, because we kind of saw this as kind of a theme last year, with what was it, the Alabama Solution documentary that was nominated, and I think it was the year prior was the film Sing Sing, so just dealing with that element, but also finding a way to empathize and humanize the people that are incarcerated, and showing that they're very complex human beings that have many different nuances that I don't think always gets shed a light on. We normally kind of just discard them as pariahs in society, but they're all obviously very human, and the movies really honor and respect that. So this is called the Redemption Shorts. So very excited to showcase that one. Another one, every year we do coming of age films. And we always get a nice crop of coming of age film, and I'm always a sucker for that kind of movie in general. Like I'm always nostalgic for my childhood because I didn't have a very good one. Sad face. So I love watching movies about different childhoods that maybe I can imagine, in different ways. And
so like coming of age judo films, right? Yeah,
coming of age
your favorite
films,
subgenre of coming of age.
exactly,
Okay,
exactly,
Only if
absolutely.
they're in Greek.
But what's cool about this year is that while we did have a nice crop of like just adolescent films dealing with childhood, and we found a new way to kind of interpret coming of age. And so the block is called Once in a Lifetime, and we actually go, as I think I originally titled this, was it from the womb to the tomb, and so we're dealing with the entire life cycle of a human life, and from being an infant all the way into old age, and all the existential crisis, midlife crisis in between all of that. And so we're kind of dealing with every phase of that lifestyle with a different short. And we're so glad we came up with found a way to combine all these movies, because they were all really great and really strong, but we couldn't find a natural through line. And when we reimagined it under those circumstances, they weirdly just fell into place very well. So Once in a Lifetime would be another one that I'd like to shout out. So yeah.
And every flavor, you
Every
guys
flavor.
have every flavor. You got sci-fi, you got experimental, you got coming of age, you got redemption, you got rebels without causes. I mean, listen, guys, deadCenter shorts, they have you covered. You've got dog content. Come on, dog short films. Let's go. Laron, I also know, of course, deadCenter takes place in June, which is also Pride Month. You're the head of Pride programming. Are there any particular films sort of like based around Pride Month that you think folks who are interested should check out?
So I have the two blocks this year dedicated to that again. One of them is called Queer Intentions. Another play on a movie title, Cruel Intentions, another favorite '90s film of mine. And this one's kind of dealing specifically with like it's a nice combination of it's provocative, it's edgy, there are a lot of heavy themes involved in it, but there's also a playfulness with this idea of showing that the queer experience isn't all one thing. There are some things that and also just showing people that having multitudes, sometimes behaving badly on purpose, in those different ways. And so it's very interesting. It's interesting kind of psychological look into the queer experience in those different ways. And then the second one I always like to have another kind of lighter one for people who don't want to just grovel in all of the minutia of it, but just want to have, kind of a heartwarming kind of experience. And I titled it Pride and Prejudice. And it's dealing
Nice.
specifically with people who either have families that are tolerant versus families that are not, and how that affects the queer uh, relatives in their lives, and how throughout the course of their lives. And so we kind of see what it's like to have a supportive family, what it's like to not have a supportive family, and then how that affects the psychology of queer people throughout their life. And so I found a nice through line with that one as well. But in terms of like Pride events, we do have a Pride happy hour at Flamingo Tiki in the Paseo Arts District.
Oof.
And this is
Great
going to
choice.
be on Saturday from 4 to 6 p.m. And we're partnering with the Oklahoma City Pride Alliance for that. So we're excited to do that. So definitely come out and check that before seeing some of the films later that evening. And we had 3 features this year. Obviously, we mentioned I Want Your Sex, She's the He, a nice indie comedy, taking the Amanda Bynes movie, the She's the Man, and giving it a trans experience twist, on that. And also a film that we did talk about at the top of the hour, What Will I Become, the documentary about the trans people that are dealing with suicidal ideology. So those are 3 films and 3 features that are also Pride related.
So amazing lineup of films to choose from. But let's talk about some of the non-film related activities you can participate in, because there are a number of them out there. Now, Kevin, I know that we, of course, have like the Oklahoma Icon Awards that you guys, deadCenter hands out on awards to folks with ties to Oklahoma or from born and raised in Oklahoma, or maybe have worked on a significant project in Oklahoma. Are there any in particular that our listeners should know about and keep an eye open for during the festival?
Yeah, we have 3 icons this year. And one of them we've already mentioned, Lou Diamond Phillips, who's the lead in Keep Quiet and made this film. And he's receiving a new kind of icon award. Traditionally, our Film Icon Award goes to people who are Oklahoma natives who just become great examples of success in the film industry or a standard that we want to see. And this new award called Legacy Icon Award is for non-Oklahomans who have worked in Oklahoma or created a significant work in Oklahoma and just were memorable for what we call the Oklahoma standard and the equivalent of that in the film world, which means they were here, they treated everyone with respect, with generosity, the kind of people that we would want to adopt. It's essentially, this would be his adoption papers as an Oklahoma filmmaker guy. So we're really excited that he's actually going to be here to accept that award. So if you needed any more incentive to come Wednesday night, you'll get to bask in the icon aura of Lou Diamond Phillips, who I have not met, but Laron has, and says he's just a gem and is very worthy of this award. Then also we have what we call a Community Icon Award. Last year we gave that to Mayor David Holt for just being a great advocate for deadCenter in Oklahoma City. This year it's going to Matt Pinnell, who's the current outgoing Lieutenant Governor of Oklahoma, who's been Lieutenant Governor is a very key role in Oklahoma in terms of the film industry, traditionally over the last 25 years. And he's been an advocate for, things like the rebates and things that help what the government can do to help grow the film industry in Oklahoma. And then our Film Icon Award is going to Lauren Waters, who's an Indigenous filmmaker who's made some incredible work and has also just been involved with a lot of other films around. And so we're really excited to give her an award and have her be here to accept that. And so those 2 awards will be presented at the awards ceremony, which would be Saturday night. And we will also, typically those will be presented to them by someone who has a great attachment to them, as also a notable person in the film community. I don't think I'm allowed to, I'm not even entirely sure if I know who's going to be presenting those yet, but typically that's, someone, the connection is usually pretty interesting.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure the list they sent me was the same one they sent you. Wink, wink. Yeah, it's definitely, they didn't link like 5 fake lists out for who's now. There's no list, anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I don't know if you guys know.
Yeah, they called me. Yeah, no, I'm joking. There's no list. Well, you mentioned the award ceremony. Paris, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that. I know that there was a period for a while where they weren't really doing the award ceremony. They brought it back a couple of years ago. What can folks who are attending the film festival expect from the award ceremony?
Yeah, it's really exciting. Last year for our awards ceremony, which was kind of like the revival of it, we had standing room only. I mean, we were at the Teata Theater at Oklahoma Contemporary. And when I say standing room only, I mean there were large groups of people who were standing downstairs, upstairs. It was packed. And not only that, but just the whole ceremony was just so beautifully done with our MC Stephanie Pena and all of the award winners who gave their lovely speeches. I mean, it was just such a great moment. And we're doing it again this year. So we're going to be back at the Teata Theater at Oklahoma Contemporary Saturday night at 7 p.m. It is very important to reserve your spot. Like I said, there was standing room only last year, and I think there are 200 seats available that you can reserve ahead of time. And so definitely if you're wanting to go to the award ceremony and don't want to stand the whole time, definitely reserve your spot. And yeah, it's also again going to be put on by our lovely MC Stephanie Pena, who has been a huge supporter of the festival for many years and just does such an amazing job. And we have just amazing awards. We have physical awards, and for the first time this year, we actually have prizes for some of the award winners. So that's also really exciting. And so it's just going to be a really great time. It's always one of my favorite moments of the festival when everyone just gets in a room together and celebrates each other. So I'm really excited.
Yeah. Last year's was incredible. I never getting all of those folks just in one room just to sort of celebrate all the accomplishments of Oklahoma film throughout the year. Playing at the festival, of course, but it really is kind of like that special moment where it's like you've got filmmakers, you got film fans, you've got film critics, you've got all these folks who are really working very, very hard to make Oklahoma a great place to make movies and watch movies, all sort of in the same place. So listeners, if you want to meet people who are working, A, they're all over the festival, but B, that's a great, extra great place to go if you want to just kind of see the who's who, what's what at the festival this year. So that's the award ceremony at 7 p.m. on Saturday. Now that's at the Oklahoma Contemporary. Laron, I hear that one of my favorite things is making a comeback this year, also the Oklahoma Contemporary, which is the panels. I'm a huge sucker for panels. Go to Comic-Cons, I go to panels. I go to film festivals, I go to panels. I just love watching the pros talk about what they do. So what can you tell us about the panels that'll be at deadCenter this year?
Well, the exciting thing about panels is that they're free and open to the public. So that's one thing that, whether you have a pass or not, you are able to come in and just listen to creatives talk about their process. And some of the different ones we have, they're also going to take place again at the Oklahoma Contemporary. One of them that I'm excited about is Intimacy in Cinema. I think we really kind of wanted to do this one last year, but we're actually getting a chance to properly do it this year. And we have a lot of films that deal with this kind of subject matter, just kind of how people deal with intimacy in film, how it's approached not just creatively or narratively, but also from a practical standpoint on film sets with the actors. And so we thought it would be an interesting conversation piece for people who are putting those elements in their movies and wanting to know how to explore that in a thoughtfully mature and very sensitive and respectful sort of way. And so that's one thing there that we have. And another one that I'm excited about, working with genre. We get really amazing genre films every year. And so we have a good crop of filmmakers and panelists that are going to be talking about some of the projects that are also playing in the feature and in the program itself, specifically the horror and the midnight ones, if you go to those. If you're a score person, we definitely we have a panel this year dealing with scores and dealing with a lot of people locally who do those. And so that'll be a fun one for people who love this particular element of filmmaking. And then one other one I think I'd highlight is uh, there was a lot of dealing with parents and over in generational different practices, immigrant experience, how there's different translations across cultures, how parenting and how that dynamic, how that's done. And so we saw a lot of films that were dealing with those sort of themes, and so we thought it'd be interesting to put a grouping of those and have kind of a discussion about how you depict these different cultures throughout different films, and how different cultures approach film in general. And so that's another one that I think people should look out for. But I think there's 12 total. And so those are just some of the highlights there. So definitely check those out. They're going to be happening between Thursday and Saturday at the Oklahoma Contemporary.
All right, folks, check it out. If you want to learn, like I said, if you want to learn whether you're just purely curious or you actually want to learn the craft or kind of what goes into working in film in some specific areas, this is a great way to learn from people. And the fact that it's free, that's pretty rad. There's a lot of places you'd have to have like a film badge. You'd have to pay money to get into it, kind of hear this sort of like advice or consulting. So really great opportunity there. That sounds like business, though. We've been talking about a lot of business, award shows and panels. That's all work. What about the party, though? Like, so you've had a full day at the film festival and you want to just relax a little bit. Julia, I hear you're quite the partier. Wink, wink. I don't actually know if that's true, but I don't know if that's true. But I hear that you have the inside scoop on where the parties are this year. So, like, are there any noteworthy parties you want to call out for our listeners and viewers today?
Yeah, no, I'll own that that's an appropriate question for me. You can go to a party every single day of the festival, Wednesday or Sunday, it doesn't matter. And so if it's Wednesday, our opening night party, we already mentioned, is at Sailor in the Dock. They're coming back again this year. Thursday, gosh, we'll just go down the list. Thursday night, we have, we're doing the karaoke at Cookies this year and holding it at Pony Boy. And so it'll be one long party that starts at 9 p.m. on that Thursday night. And so that's kind of our big first day of screenings going on all day long. And so you can wrap up with some karaoke at Pony Boy. We also are bringing back Cocktails on the Skyline at the Museum of Art. So kind of your happy hour on Thursday. Friday, the Friday Night Frolic that we do every year as well at Dunlap Cotting is back. And then Saturday, we have Lively, Saturday Night Lively. The only thing I would say with that is that you would have to choose between I Want Your Sex and Saturday Night Lively. Both are happening
Wisely.
Choose wisely.
Choose wisely, yes.
We didn't say choose lively. We said choose wisely.
Just be clear.
If you're really, really speedy, maybe you can. Oh, never mind. We're not in favor of drinking and driving. So we're just gonna skip past that one. But if I Want Your Sex isn't your thing for whatever reason, that's something that you have to live with, but you can go live with that at Lively on Saturday night. And then on Sunday, to wrap us up, we have our closing night party, they're calling Roll the Credits this year. And we're doing that at Truck Yard for the first time. And so pulling in this huge bar and outdoor space that's right down from Harkins. So it'll be a great way to close us out.
Truck Yard, that's a cool place. I've only been one time right before I made the move from Oklahoma City. That place is huge, folks. Great outdoor seating area too. So if you're wanting to mingle, that's a great spot. And it's so close to the Harkins. Very nice. We're running out about time, but I've heard you mention a couple times the Tulsa Experience. And I'll be honest, I don't really know much about it. So I don't know. I'll throw it to you first, Laron, and anyone else can chime in. What's the scoop on the deadCenter Tulsa Experience this year?
So we're definitely this year we kind of Sunrise kind of articulated to as our director of programming that this is kind of us starting a bridge between two major media industries hubs here within the state. And so Tulsa has a very thriving film community as well. And so we wanted to have a presence there. And so We're going to be having some special screenings there, like a curated screening that the programming team has put together specifically for them, and we're calling it the deadCenter, the Tulsa Experience for them. And so we're gonna have a feature and a short playing together. I believe that's correct for Kevin. Remind me the two. We have Cream, which is going to be the short film, and then we have a feature film as well.
Well, Cream is technically a feature. It's a little short for feature.
Sorry. It's a short
feature. The total length will be about feature length. But we have a short. The family-friendly version of the title is STFU When We Talk, which is a short documentary about kind of a punk hip-hop scene in Austin. And just the scene there. It's really exciting, and will make you want to drive to Austin and see a show. And then following that is Cream, which is a film that we really wanted to have exclusive films in Tulsa, and not have it sort of be like a rerun thing. So we had to carefully choose films that were there, and it kind of kills me that this film's not going to be in Oklahoma City, but it entice people that really want to see it to go to Tulsa. We just thought it was a really good home at the Philbrook for a film called Cream, which is a retelling of Romeo and Juliet, but the dialogue is, instead of the Shakespeare, is Wu-Tang lyrics. So some person by hand, it says not by AI, this was a human being who did this, sat down and took all the Wu-Tang Clan lyrics and transposed how he found that I could tell the story of Romeo and Juliet only through Wu-Tang lyrics.
Yeah.
And it's a very modern, awesome. If you're a fan of like the Leonardo DiCaprio, Romeo and Juliet, it's very like that kind of like street level, urban, modern telling of it. And it works. It's
awesome.
It's really fun.
So
it's pretty rad. And you're also kind of bearing the lead here. It's called Cream because it's all set around an ice cream stand.
Oh,
yes.
Which is
also the name of a Wu-Tang song.
Oh man, it's seriously a one of a kind film. I have to say, very impressive.
And a good pick for Tulsa because Wu-Tang skipped over Oklahoma City last year and went right to Tulsa. So we went to Tulsa for Wu-Tang. We'll also go to Tulsa for Wu-Tang this year.
Absolutely. And then I think we also have a shorts block that we've curated as well. And these are all exclusives that did not play at deadCenter proper here in Oklahoma City. And this was a curated block by the programming team. And remind me of the title, Paris.
Rebels with a Cause.
Rebels with a Cause. Yes, we mentioned it earlier in the block, and it's a lot of stories, kind of dealing with, again, underdogs, but also people fighting against systems, and it's very inspiring, very hopeful, and definitely something that I think will be like a rousing time for our Tulsans out there. So for Tulsans who always say they can't make it out to Oklahoma City to deadCenter, and I've had this happen sometimes, we're coming to you. So there's no excuses. You better be there. So
there's also another feature at Circle. That Circle actually is going to have kind of an all-day thing on the 27th. They'll have like, I think, donuts at the first beginning of the day, and then they'll have the shorts block, and then we're going to have a film called School for Defectors, which is directed by Jeremy Workman, who he's had multiple times at deadCenter. His last film at deadCenter was Secret Mall Apartment, which became a big streaming hit and things like that. So this is his latest film. It's very different. It's about a school in, I believe Seoul, but in South Korea, that specializes in children who have escaped North Korea. And so it helps kids who were raised in the only experience they have is in North Korea kind of learn how to be South Korean citizens and assimilate, and what they face, like prejudice and things like that. It's a little different than the things that he does, but he's really proud of it, and we're proud to have it.
Yeah.
That's a super compelling story. I got to check that one out. I'm excited for Tulsa. Because I know there is the OKC Tulsa, there's connection, there's some overlap, but a lot of times folks from Tulsa don't go to OKC and vice versa for these sorts of events. So super excited that you guys are expanding. Yeah, there we go. As we wrap up, just wanted to ask each one of you, your friend, let's say I have a friend. They come and they say, "Why should I go to deadCenter?" What do you tell them?
Because you're going to get something you've never seen before. That is our goal every single year. Like, what stories are you not seeing anywhere else? I've never seen anything like this thing. Let's be the first people to present that. And I think that we are trying to be generators of culture here in Oklahoma. So the people who have kind of misconceptions about the state of Oklahoma, especially if you just watch the news and you're in a different state, we got cool shit here too. And I think that that's part of what we're really proud to kind of bring to the masses every year. So
Not only is it great for Oklahomans and people who, maybe they're, here and they have no idea what it is, but I mean, it's also being part of something that's growing beyond Oklahoma. It's
mhm.
being part of a national and international conversation. It's for everyone. Everybody is welcome. If you're a movie fan, if you're not a movie fan, if you're a partier, if you're not a partier, if you're, it's there's a space for everybody here, and there's a good time to be had. I would dare you to, if you've never been to deadCenter and you go, tell me you had a bad time. Like, I don't think it's
True.
possible. Yeah, it's something that we all look forward to every year. There's just nothing like it that happens here in the state. I mean, we have other festivals, we have other, big things that go on, but this is 5 days straight of a celebration of artistry, culture. It's fun, it's engaging, you're gonna learn, you're gonna experience emotions, meet people. It's just the best. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Very good.
You kind of touched on this earlier, Caleb, but I actually think that a good reason to come to deadCenter, even if you're not a movie person, even if you, and especially maybe if you don't want to be out in the heat of summer, looking at going to visiting all of the different kinds of theater spaces and museum spaces in Oklahoma City, and the different restaurants and bars and just event places that join with us to put on this great thing are all very different from each other, in addition to hosting very different kinds of screenings and very different kinds of events. And yeah, I mean, you kind of get to collect your baseball cards of the city when you do deadCenter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it, the that hits the nail on the head. And the mission statement of deadCenter ends with celebrating creativity and community through film. And so it's about the work, and the amazing stuff like that we're able to show. That's, like you said, the classic from the roots of cinema to the cutting edge now. But it's also equally about community, and I think that is being lost. And I think we all feel it, especially us. Of community around creativity versus just consuming it individually in our homes. So getting out and meeting people that you don't normally associate with, different generations, different economic walks of life, getting together and talking about interesting things in person, is something that you can really only do at a film festival,
Yeah.
And so, and I'm just like Julia said, being able to have these multiple venues, like, yes, we have the multiplex that is that center, where you can get a lot of different options, but I would really encourage people to go check out these other venues like OFX, that is an independently run theater, just a group of people just bootstrapping it month to month, like, keeping independent micro theaters alive, in the city, the rodeo, the art museum, like, checking out all the different offers. And then, some of these have memberships, ways to support them. And I would, like, not just dare you to not say have a good time, but dare you not to be inspired by the community that's around here.
And seriously, it is inspiring. Incredible place to watch movies. Incredible place to make friends who watch movies. And I think, as most of you folks on the panel today can say, incredible place to make movies. So deadCenter Film Festival, check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, just a quick reminder, that is going to be June 10th through the 14th. Tickets are on sale now at deadcenterfilm.org. So what are you waiting for? The schedule's live. You can get a pass, start making those reservations, or you can get your ticket for individual films. Hey, programming team at Dead Center, you guys have done some amazing work. Laron, Paris, Kevin, and Julia. Thank you guys so much for joining us today, and thanks for all your great work at the festival.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
And listeners, thanks so much for joining us. Happy Dead Center, and we'll catch you again next time.